Okay, Todd, if you can hear me, we're going to be going in a 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to everyone listening in here on Mix 96.1 FM or watching along with the live stream on PotsdamBears.com. Once again, a happy 2026 to all of you. This is the first game of the second half of the season as the men's hockey team here at Maxey Hall Ice Arena will be challenged this weekend with two SUNYAC Conference games. Tonight, they will start it off versus the visiting Buffalo State Bengals. Along with Todd Truax engineering this broadcast on the Mix 96.1 FM side, I'm Taylor Salisbury, and tonight, SUNY Potsdam is looking to go in to the second half of this campaign this season, as right now they're sitting at 5-7 overall on the season. They're 2-3 in SUNYAC conference play. They're coming off two games this past weekend, which happened to be the Boston Landing Collegiate Invitational, and they happened to lose both of those games. On Saturday, January the 3rd, they played at Nichols College. They lost 3-1 in that first game, and in the second they played Southern New Hampshire and would fall 6-2. However, the Bears did have a game right before the end and the holidays of 2025. It was a Kids Day game where they played SUNY Canton and ended up beating them in overtime. So the Bears right now coming into this game with a little bit of momentum in terms of the SUNYAC Conference. For Buffalo State, they have lost their last three games. Back on December the 6th, they lost against Plattsburgh State at home 4-3 in overtime. And then on the 12th and 13th of December, they had back-to-back games at Treen College, and they ended up losing those games 4-1 and 3-1, respectively. Right now, it's anybody's contest in the SUNYAC Conference standings, whereas right now, looking at it here on paper, the Buffalo State Bengals currently sit at 5th place in the standings. They have 6 points total. In the conference, they are 2-1. As we mentioned, overall, though, they're 5-6-1. They've lost their last three. Potsdam is in 7th place with 4 points. So with a win tonight, technically, they could tie Buffalo State and theoretically jump into a home ice advantage position in the SUNYAC Conference, as they are 5-7 and again 2-3 in the conference. Tomorrow, the SUNY Potsdam team will take on the Fredonia State Blue Devils, who right now currently are the 10th team out of 10 in the SUNYAC. They only have 2 points, and they are 0-4-1. They have lost their last 4 games. Overall, they are 0-9-1. So right now, it should be a pretty evenly matched game here between these two clubs, Buffalo State and Potsdam State, as we get the starting lineups for both of these teams. For the Bengals, out first is going to be number 6, Ethan Perot, followed by defenseman number 15, Aiden Dufault. At the forward, it looks like number 16, Sutton Murray, number 17, Jake Meary, number 19, Vadim Kulikov, and in goal is going to be a freshman for the Bengals. It's number 30, Ben Dardis. And for the Bears, looks like they're going to start out with their usual pairing here, which is typically Maumeister, Hohen, and Watson, with Sealy and Campbell at the defense. As we will take a moment here to listen to the national anthem with the United States of America, and then we'll be back here with your starting goaltenders and drop the puck here in our first game of 2 this weekend in men's hockey at SUNY Potsdam. And as the lights come back up here in the Maxcy Hall Ice Arena, we will now take a look at the starting goaltenders for this evening's contest. As mentioned there, with the starting lineup for the Bengals, it will be a freshman from Pine Springs, Minnesota, number 30, Ben Dardis. He is 5'10", 190 pounds. He previously played in the AJHL for the Olds Grizzlies. It'll be interesting to see how he will compete against the SUNY Potsdam Bears, who are coming out with their tried and true starting goaltender, the junior, number 28, Lenny Perno, 5'11", 185 pounds, from Rochester, New York. He played for the Richmond Generals in the USPHL. For the Bengals, they are coached by Steve Murphy. The assistant coaches are Justin Kmunt, Dan Yustin, Gage Brown, and Nick Klepfel. And for the Bears, it is the first season for Mike Grace, the graduate of SUNY Plattsburgh in 2013. The assistant coach is Mike LaSala. As the puck drops, SUNY Potsdam will start off with it first here, as it's won back by Hohen. Going down into the offensive zone, the Bears are trying to come back up with possession as this puck is loose, picked up on the half wall here by the Bengals. They will get that back out to the neutral zone, and then this is dumped in. It's actually going to be called icing on Rocco Siri, as he was not over the red line. And for the Bears as well, if you are watching on the live stream of PotsdamBears.com, you will see that the hometown City Potsdam Bears are in their white uniforms with Bears calligraphy across the uniform and maroon trim. For the Bengals, they are in this game in their orange uniforms with black stripes and white numbers. It almost looks like an old vintage Detroit Red Wings uniform with the striping across the body and arms. Puck comes back down here into the Bears' offensive zone. That goes off a body, flipped up off the glass. It's going to make it back down here in the City Potsdam territory. Kept alive at the blue line by a skate. Here's a shot towards the net, and Perno will knock it away with the blocker and then slap it with the paddle. This one is corralled this time by Zach Peller, looking for a pass cross ice, and that was intercepted in the passing lane by the Bears. Walsh gave it to Cannell briefly as he tried to advance it along to Perrault. A couple bodies in there that keeps pinballing off each of them. Finally, it's safely dumped in by Walsh as he goes off for a full sail line change. Perno has to come out of his goal mouth to pick up the puck as it was whipped around the half wall, and it comes again back out into center ice, but just as quick, that one is snapped on net by Henry. Here's a nice advancing puck forward that goes off the stick of number 22, Krasnoyarov, and he got knocked down for his troubles. And now he's going to put the body on as he knocks his man away from the puck. That happened to be a Blongo. And he'll go off for a line change as well. Dumped in by Dobbs as Buffalo State has to go back into their own zone. On the breakout, that one hits the official on the opposite side of the ice in the skates, and City Potsdam is able to put it back into the danger zone. However, it spills back out, and it will be brought up by Messing. However, he is offsides in front of the City Potsdam bench. Already 2.5 minutes has elapsed here in the opening period. We are still scoreless here in Maxey Hall on a very windy and unseasonably warm evening here, a Friday evening in the North Country. Rain coming down a little bit, almost like a mist from side to side. However, we do have a good turnout here on the opposite side of the ice from us here in the Crow's Nest. As Malmeister looked for a backhand pass out into the slot area, that one was closed up quickly. However, here's a shot towards the net, and that one is gloved down by Dardis. Didn't get the whole thing. However, he was able to pick it up for the face-off. So there's the first real dangerous opportunity against the Bengals by Potsdam. Malmeister comes up with it as Rocco Siri was able to poke it free at the blue line. In front of the Bengals bench, Manoff passing it across ice, left to right, getting after, putting it in front of the net was Ushakov. However, that one was deflected away at the very last second. Could have easily went into the empty net behind Perno. Looking up, Hohen will chip that one back down over the blue line as he's going to tag up here. Fresh legs as Cannell comes out here, as well as Perrault and Jacob Hall. Using the net to his advantage, there was Foster Nickel, passed it along, and again it's dumped in here by Ushnikov. Alley-ooped out here by the Bears. That one is shot all the way down the ice and will go past the blade of Dalhard Wood, resulting in an icing here against Buffalo. That face-off will be here now to the right of the Bengals netminder. As we mentioned, he is a freshman here on this Buffalo State squad. Going down the list here, it looks like he's not in a whole lot of company, well, at least until you get to the bottom of the list here, but it looks like there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 freshmen on this team for Buffalo State, so very seasoned team here for the Bengals as they have come up here about 5.5 hours away, give or take, depending on traffic and weather conditions, which obviously today here in Potsdam were not the greatest. For the Bears, that one is knocked out of the zone. Getting back for it first is going to be Dobbs, as he will just slow this one down behind his own net. Goes to the left wing side. That one, Felix tips it up, and that goes off of the stick of Krasnoyarov. Off a skate, that goes over the blue line. Puck is loose. Here's a pass. That one connects with Kilmurray. However, he only had one hand on his stick. He was not able to fully grasp the puck. Now he does, as he got back up after a hit. McCabe in there to help him out with support. However, the puck goes backwards. Being pressured from behind is Rocco Siri. However, he does get help from his teammate and lineman, Campbell, Michael Campbell, who was this week's Potsdam Player of the Week. That puck a little too hard on the dish by the Bengals as it went off the stick of Andrade, and he cannot capitalize on it. Siri trying to get some help from O'Brien. However, that one is stolen away again by Buffalo State, as both of these teams right now in the first 5 minutes of play are literally just passing it back and forth to each other. They cannot really gain an edge here in terms of controlling the puck and coming down the opposite way. We only saw brief glimpses of that for either team. One shot for the Bengals ended up coming from about the top of the circle, which was blocker saved by Perno. And as we mentioned, Naumeister had one on the goaltender here for the Bengals. Now here's a chance as Hohen gets the pass, shoots it low. However, Dardis was ready for it, already down, and made a great save as Hohen was already behind the defense on that one. Two great opportunities here for SUNY Potsdam to get the first goal here of the 2026 portion of the campaign. However, they were stifled by Dardis. Perrault will keep this one in with his skate, but he cannot grab it back. This one is going to be thrown across ice. Manov tries to take a wrist shot towards the net. That went off a body, but he gets it right back. Down low to Otis. That went over his stick. That one is flipped up in the air, out of play by number 4, sophomore defenseman Will Walsh. Walsh from Pompton Lakes, New Jersey. Did play for the Rooster Railers in the EHL before coming here to SUNY Potsdam. Face-off won here by the Bears in the by the Bengals in the offensive zone. There's a hit on Manov by Cannell in front of the Bears bench. Manov will backhand this one off of Cannell's stick, and again it goes out of play here, right to the side of the Potsdam bench. So here we go. Face-off coming up to the right of Perno this time. As that's a goal! Wow, right off the face-off, Perno tried to glove save it, and he just got fooled there, as it looks like it's going to be Sagnaretti getting the first marker here in the game. Boy, oh boy. That is one of those goals that Lenny Perno is definitely going to wish that he could get back, not only in this game, but in any other game that he would be playing here at Maxey Hall. And now the Buffalo State leads 1-0. Still plenty of time here, though, in the first, with about 13 minutes and change remaining on the scoreboard. Here's a 3-on-2 back the other way. Nice defensive play by Siri, as trying to pick that one up would have been number 6, Perot, for the Bengals. And then that one is going to be dumped down the ice. However, it will come back down the opposite way. The Bears are going to be given an icing. So Siri, Hohen, Clanow, Campbell, and trying to see who's there in the back. That's going to be Landon Cole. They're going to have to stay on here. Or that's actually Watson, not Cole. Looked like a 5 from here, but it's actually 29. As it's another win here by the Bengals, who are now starting to put on some good aggressive pressure. And the Bears are trying to answer the call. Dumped to the opposite side into the Zamboni corner by Buffalo. As that puck trickles back down here, right to left. Felix chips it off the half wall. And then Walsh will help it and push it back down into the corner. Loose lumber on the ice in the Bengals defensive zone as Clanow will throw this one back in. Felix giving a pass out in front. Here's a chance. Malmeister with a wrist shot. It bounces up into the open glove of Dardis. Not a whole lot that that Malmeister could do on that attempt, as he was being smothered from behind. Kind of actually surprised that Buffalo State didn't pick up a penalty there on the attempt. Kilmurray loses the draw this time, and coming back with it is going to be Kurikov. He'll lose that one. This is alley-ooped, not once but twice. Once by each team. Oh! Kilmurray knocks his man down while he's not looking. Andrade got hit. He's back in the play, though. Taken down now was Watson on that one. As Walsh will pin his man to the boards. That's Signoretti, the man who has scored the opening goal here in this evening's contest. 1-0, Buffalo State here over the Bears with 11 minutes and 23 seconds remaining in the opening period. Regrouping in his own zone, it's going to be Salas, number 11 in white and maroon, and he will pass it along to the left wing. Down the ice, that one went past the Buffalo defense, so the icing was waved off here, and this one is going to be knocked back down into the offensive zone of the Bengals. Salas pins his man. As that one goes again across, that is a delayed offsides that will be called on Manov and company. So far, as I kind of thought it would be here to start off the first period, both teams are equally matched here. As we said, the records are pretty much identical, and then really both of these teams have the same amount of players in terms of seasoned, coming back students that have played with each other here on both squads, as well as for the Bears and the Bengals, for that matter, picking up players in the portal this offseason. Siri will corral this one, and he will go back below the goal mouth of the Bears netminder. And then he's hit from behind. That is definitely going to be a penalty here against Buffalo State. It's a cross-checking, and we will have the first power play opportunity of the evening. It will go to Potsdam. Looks like going to the sin bin on this one will be number 8, Tyler Penry, the senior forward from New Hartford, New York. Tremendous opportunity here for Potsdam State. They lost the faceoff. However, they're going to gain control of it here as Perron is going to go down into the corner. This puck goes to the blue line, kept alive by Dalhart Wood. He gets it across for Watson. He'll survey the landscape and pass it down low. Trying to come out in front was Clanow. However, he really could not get enough of the puck to shoot it through the crease. And then that one was safely cleared down the ice by the Bengals. With speed, it's Watson. He bounces it off the boards and tries to go for it again. However, he's tied up at the moment with Peller, and that gives Buffalo State another chance to safely dump it down the ice. First one back for it is going to be Delhurt Wood, the assistant captain here for SUNY Potsdam. Hohen backhands it along. Malmeister, the first one in there with some speed and force as he went off the boards. He has it again, tries to wrap it around. However, he was on his backhander and just could not do it. Here's a shot, a weak one, but it was effective as it hits the skate of Perno. 44 seconds remaining and the cross-checking penalty to the Bears. Right now, it's going to be Michael Campbell, the captain, who gives it up to Hohen. He'll rip this one around again, and it gets to the opposite side half while a crushing hit put on there by Drayden Todorov as he dumps Malmeister behind the net. About time for one last rush here, as that's tipped into the zone by O'Brien. He'll go after it, as well as that is Gubbins. Flipped along, the penalty is over, so the Bears are now 0 for 1 on the man advantage. 8 minutes remaining here in the opening period. 1-0 Bengals. Ooh, that could have been a rough go there. Trying to get it out of the zone here is Walsh. Finally, he does desperately. O'Brien has that one tipped up to his blade by Felix. It will come out to the neutral zone. Flip back in here by Delhurt Wood. Almost on net. It went to the left side of Dardis. Cross ice. That pass connects. However, that one, the second one, too far as Salas tried to give it up to McCabe. Brought back in here by the Bengals. Chipped along. Manov. That one tips off a stick out in front of the net. Luckily, Kilmurray was the first one there for Potsdam. McCabe has that one in his skate. Salas tries to cut it off as it was chipped off the glass. But he has to backpedal here and restart the play. Salas off the boards. Didn't get a whole lot on that. As it's still here. Finally, Kilmurray will flip this one to the opposite side corner in the Bears' defensive territory. Then this one is going to be thrown down the ice, and Siri just makes it there right after the icing call was made. Looks like for SUNY Potsdam, they're going to have Krasnoyarov out there with Klanow and Perron centering the two wingers. Delhurt Wood and Salas at the blue line. Face off one here to the right of the Bengals netminder. And that will be flipped in over the blue line of the Bears. Salas brought it down out of midair, stolen away, pickpocketed, nicely done by Penry. However, then it was taken away from him by Klanow. Both teams here tit for tat in terms of plays. Oh, out in front of the net there was Krasnoyarov, who almost got a deflection off a little chip shot by Delhurt Wood. Now in front of the net, that one backhanded wide again by Krasnoyarov. Now we have a whistle here as it looks like, yes, that puck ended up going out of play into the crowd. As a fan just racing for that one, ends up picking it up. Buffalo State trying to get out of their own zone. Otis chips this one down. It hit the end boards and actually went between the legs of Perno as he tried to make an attempt for it. No harm, no foul though, as it's taken back by the Bears. Campbell trying to keep it in, can't do it. He's unsuccessful, as now it's going to be flipped towards the Bears net that time by Neary. Neary, a junior here for Buffalo State, and he'll throw it again towards the net. That one is paddled away by Perno. To the blue line. This is Todorov. He'll slap that one down below the net. Back to the blue line. They go tape to tape. Blanco to Todorov. And this will be Neary, and he'll be taken out here. Nicely done on the defense by Hohen. As the Bears tried to get a line change out of their own zone, it was quickly brought back in. They're lucky that they didn't get scored on there. Gubbins tried to take a shot towards the net, and that went off a stick, deflected away. Puck goes off the shin there of O'Brien, as Dobbs will pick it back up. Four minutes and 30 seconds remaining here in the first period. It's still 1-0 Buffalo State over SUNY Potsdam here on a Friday evening in Maxey Hall. This one is flipped up into the air, as I could literally reach out and grab it here in the crow's nest. Below the Bears' net. This time, pass. It connects with Hall. However, he deflects that one out, and it hits a body in the Buffalo bench. So the faceoff should be here at center ice, I would believe. It was pretty much right in the middle of the sheet of ice. And indeed it will be, as the official here, linesman Martin, drops that puck. And that one again knocked all the way down the ice by the Bengals. This time they are going to be called again on the icing. Coming up here after the first intermission, we will have your first period statistics. We'll also go over the out-of-town scoreboard. Plenty of games on the docket this evening for the teams here in the North Country. Not many in SUNYAC conference play. Here is a shot towards the net, and that one just missing. The wrist shot was high and wide for Watson. Again, it comes out in front of the net, too far for Watson. This is kicked back to Dahlhurt Wood. His slap shot went off a shin. Getting away with it is Messing, and he will have to track it down. Taken away from him, Malmeister in the neutral zone with a blind backhand pass that missed the intended target, which was Hohen. Dahlhurt Wood across, hits Walsh. Now back up, it's another alley-oop that is chipped by Hohen. However, it was underneath the shoulders, so no high sticking as well as no icing. That was a fantastic play, as the Bears were really hoping that they could make a line change, and they did. Salas getting that one up. It bobbles up into the air, brought down by the glove of Perron, and now he skates into the offensive zone, in front of the net, backhander, ooh, Hall puts it on net, but sliding over at the last second was Dardis to come up with that. SUNY Potsdam almost tying this game up late in the first period. Jacob Hall got 3 from the defense, as Perron gave him a nice pass out in front of the crease. Potsdam will win the face-off and keep it in the zone. Cannell down low, gets it back on a give and go. The shot on the left side post was no good, as Dardis was hugging it very calmly. Bengals will throw it back down the ice. That will result in an icing here again on Buffalo State. 2 minutes and 22 seconds remaining here in the first period at the Maxey Hall Ice Arena, as it is 1-0 Bengals over the Bears. As we mentioned before the game, The Bengals right now are sitting in the middle of the SUNYAC standings as they have 6 points total. SUNY Potsdam is in 7th place as they have 4. Right now with this win, it could boost them up into that position that Buffalo State is in, especially if they win this game. They would have the advantage, so to speak, because they would have the victory against Buffalo State. 2 minutes remaining. Salas will jostle for this one in the Zamboni corner, as the puck is really jammed in there. It's not moving at all. However, the officials are letting this one go for a hot minute. It's still not moving at all. Coming in to help out, I believe that's Felix in there. Finally, it looks like Michael Marquez poked it loose. And Marquez and Salas might battle one more time in the corner. Finally, that one is knocked down again here by Sagnaretti. Stealing this one away were the Bears, but Klanow could not catch up to it, and he will hop off to the bench for a line change. Salas slowing down the play, methodically trying to make his next move, and here he will get the pass up to Hohen. Then that's deflected into the zone by Watson with less than 1 minute remaining in the first period. Going across ice, east-west is Miri. He'll get a chance, shot, and Perno knocks it away with a shoulder. Malmeister is checked. Coming in for support was Dahlhard Wood. He got it across for Campbell and gets it right back. As he's trapped in his own zone, he fanned on the initial pass. Second attempt went over the stick of Hohen. As now the Bengals are able to try to come back the other way. That's poked by Hall off of the stick of Kirikov. Nicely done by number 23 for SUNY Potsdam. He'll take a shot towards the net. Tough angle shot. Didn't really have a chance at all. However, now it's Cannell with it with 10 seconds remaining. Campbell has to take a shot towards the net. It goes off a leg behind the net of Dardis. It's a check by Cannell as the horn sounds. We have a little bit of shoving here between Paral and another player here for the Bengals, but that will do it here for the first period of play at the Maxey Hall Arena in Potsdam, New York. As currently the score here in the SUNYAC Conference game in men's hockey, it is the Buffalo State Bengals 1 and the SUNY Potsdam Bears 0. In that period, both teams back and forth battling for the puck and possession. I will want to see who had the edge in time of possession. Very hard to kind of tell there, as both teams really didn't have it for most of the period. However, Buffalo State did come up with I don't want to say fluke goal, but a surprising goal nonetheless that beats Perno, and that's where we are here after 20 minutes of play. We'll be back in about 9 minutes time here, and we will give you your first period statistics, your out-of-town scoreboard, and we will also give you some notes and tips about this weekend's festivities here as we have come back for the second half of the semester at Maxey Hall and SUNY Potsdam. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back here in a few minutes on Mix 96.1 FM and PotsdamBears.com. in at the end of the first intermission here at the Maxey Hall Ice Arena on this Friday evening. It is our first game of our doubleheader this weekend in men's hockey, and after one period of play here, it is the Buffalo State Bengals 1 and the SUNY Potsdam Bears 0. Once again, for Todd Truax engineering this broadcast on the Mix 96.1 FM side, I'm Taylor Salisbury, and we are about to go over your first intermission statistics between both of these teams. As I look here down the list, it looks like the official scoring on that lone goal by the Bengals will be at 6 minutes and 29 seconds in the first period. It was an even strength goal scored by Lucas Signoretti. It is his 5th of the season, and it was unassisted. Shots by period tied 6 apiece for both teams. Only power play attempt went to SUNY Potsdam as they were unsuccessful. They are 0-1. Looking at the goaltenders. In that first 20 minutes of play, Ben Dardis for Buffalo goes 6 for 6 on saves, no goals against, whereas Lenny Perno ended up going for 5 saves out of 6 and 1 goal against. Flipping over here to the next page in the face-off chart, looks like right now it is 11-8 in favor of the Bengals in that category, with an 83.3% face-off percentage. Number 16, Sutton Murray, leads the way for Buffalo State. 5 wins and 1 in the face-off circle for the Bears with a 66.7% average. Mason Hohen goes 6 and 3. As we will now take a look here at the out-of-town scoreboards. As I mentioned, plenty of games here this evening around the area. However, not a whole lot of people checking in terms of the scores. We do have a few to mention here, though, before both clubs get back onto the ice. SUNY Potsdam Bears women's basketball team and men's basketball team, for that matter, are on the road playing Oswego State this evening. The women's basketball team has concluded their game as they will lose by a final score of 45-69. Men's basketball team, we have not heard anything yet for an update, nor have we heard from the SUNY Canton basketball teams as they host Plattsburgh State this evening. However, we do know that SUNY Canton is playing Fredonia 10 miles down the road, and at the end of one period of play, they lead the Blue Devils 2-1. The St. Lawrence University Saints women's hockey team fell to number 13 Colgate 6-2 this afternoon. The women's basketball team would end up defeating Bard College on the road 61-45. The men's hockey team is taking on Yale in Connecticut, and that one is scoreless after the first period of play. For the Clarkson Golden Knights, the women's hockey team was at Cornell. They tied 5-5. However, Cornell would win the shootout 2-0. In women's basketball, Clarkson loses 61-40 the final. And then we do not have an update yet as it was a pregame. The men's hockey team is taking on Brown on the road. That can be heard on B99.3 FM and streamed on ESPN Plus, as Bob Offel will have a call there on that game. And the men's basketball team is also at Vassar College. They have not had an updated score. While we have a few seconds here before the horn, we do want to mention a somber note here from the Potsdam Bears family and facility. SUNY Potsdam will pay tribute to the late Jerry Welsh, the great legendary Potsdam Bears men's basketball coach and former athletic director who just recently passed away, in a special ceremony that will be held between the men's and women's basketball game against SUNY Canton on Friday, January the 30th. All local and campus community members, Bears fans, and alumni are welcome to come as we remember Potsdam's visionary coach and his leadership and lasting impact that he had here, as well as, of course, getting the gymnasium named after himself. Welsh was an honorary member of the class of 1975, and he is a Potsdam Hall of Famer. The Bears women's contest is scheduled for 5:30 p.m. on January 30th. The ceremony takes place right after the completion of that game before the men's basketball game at 7:30. And if you would like to honor Coach Welsh's lifelong love of athletics, donations may be made in his memory to SUNY Potsdam Athletics at www.potsdam.edu/Jerry. Once again, a legendary name here in Potsdam, New York. Jerry Welsh, a huge loss and a big blow here to SUNY Potsdam this past weekend. And here's a huge blow for the Bears as they get a quick penalty here to start this middle frame. It's going to be on Perrault. So here's the first opportunity for Buffalo State on the man advantage, as leaving this one for his partner was Austin McHale. Andrade drop passes to McHale, and then drop passes it again, as streaking out of his own zone was Lucas Signoretti, the man who has the one goal here so far. He looked for a pass back from the blue line, but that one literally had way too much mustard on it. Slowing it down now, McHale looking right to left, then takes the shot through traffic. That went way over the crossbar as Klanow is able to pick this one up. However, it is kept in by the Bengals. Nicely done there by McHale. With it now is going to be Andrade. And Kirikov takes the shot, and Perno easily keeps that one in the chest protector, swallowing it up for the stop. 55 seconds remaining in that penalty here to Matthew Perrault, the senior forward from Kapuasasing, Ontario. Across the blue line, it's going to be thrown back on the half wall. Coming back up to the top of the circle, pass back up to McHale, they score! I don't know if it was deflected in front of the net. There were plenty of bodies in front of Perno at the top of the crease. Nickel was the one who took the shot from the blue line. I believe he will receive credit for it. And on the power play, Buffalo State now leads by 2. That one coming literally 2 minutes and 3 seconds into the second period, as now the Bears are going to have to dig themselves out of a 2-goal hole. As you can literally almost hear a pin drop in here. The Bears bench below me in the crow's nest trying to get a little bit of noise and keep the line on the ice back in this, as it's going to be Felix out there this time with Gubbins and Hohen. Stolen away, thrown in front of the net, it's loose as it was in the skate of Dardis. Lunging with the puck that time was Dobbs, and it almost went off a skate into the empty net. That would have been almost karma for SUNY Potsdam, as that first goal by Buffalo State was a surprising goal that went in behind Perno. Felix on the face-off, trying to get this one back for the Bears. Can't do it. Salas has to go back for it. Got it across for Dobbs. This one thrown in. It's a delayed offside as Gubbins will touch it and then also take a shot for his troubles into the boards by Andrei Manov. Full line change here for the Bengals. Looks like the Bears will keep Gubbins out there and Felix. Looks like now Krasnoyarov has slipped back out onto the ice, and he is at the right wing position, as well as the defense, Salas and Dobbs still out there. Twirling away with this one was Dobbs. Finally, he'll chip it in right at the penalty boxes. First one in for it that time was Krasnoyarov. Kept alive here by Perron coming off the bench on the long change here in the second. Shot wide. Hall loses his stick as he's hip checked by Otis. And I don't know, is Otis going to get a penalty here? That's what it's looking like. Yes, it will be an interference on Buffalo. However, they're going to call it against Ethan Perreault, the sophomore defender from Tip City, Ohio. As the Bears, now down by 2 goals, are hoping that they can come alive here and get their first goal here. The first one of the 2026 part of the season here at home in Maxey Hall. Dard Wood got the pass from Perno and will play pitch and catch there with his partner, Owen Watson. Perreault will skate up the left wing side. He is slowed down by Nickel. However, he's back in the play, helping out Cannell as well as Clanow. All 3 forwards down in the corner here. Is now getting away with his Perreault. He's already being pressured by Nickel and smothered on the boards. This one will go back to the opposite side half wall and is flipped out at the last second by Murray. He's trying to come off for his change. Here's a chance as it's going to be a delayed offsides as Hall and Krasnoyarov were changing up. Malmeister was hunting that puck down. However, he did not notice that they were coming back out onto the ice. That brings the puck back down here to the right of the Potsdam net on an icing. 1 minute and 6 seconds remaining on the interference to Perreault. Really nothing doing here so far for SUNY Potsdam on their second power play opportunity. Looking to try to change that one is Malmeister. He gets over the blue line and passed it forward. Krasnoyarov back to Campbell. He avoids Miri. Couple of nice crisp passes here on the far side. Campbell gets it back. Here's a one-time pass over to Malmeister. However, nicely executed. Miri able to get that one away on his stick. He shot it down on Perno, who makes the easy save off the pad. 30 seconds remains here on the power play. That will be an offsides here as Hohen made an extra step, and it looked like, I believe, yes, Krasnoyarov was a little bit overzealous on that possession. So on the opposite side of the ice, it will be Hohen challenging Murray on this face-off. And Hohen will win this one back. Campbell across ice to Malmeister. He got over the blue line and will throw it down low. And it comes back up here to the half wall. Chipped out again and bringing it back through the middle lane as Murray shot towards the net. Goes wide of the left side post. 10 seconds remaining on this power play as Hall dekes out his defender. However, he almost lost an edge and fell down on his keister. And that will end the second power play here as cherry picking out of the box was Kirikov. Can you blame him? No. However, it is an icing against Buffalo State. So Andrade will have to stay out here, as well as McHale, and also Manov, Kirikov, and Signoretti. Face off at the center ice is picked up. McCabe chips this one into the offensive zone and will be the second one to go in. O'Brien first one in there as he was flying, and he's going to try to do it again. This time he beats the defender. It's in his skates. McCabe pokes it free, and Kilmurray will be the supporting attacker. Sal is almost losing this one at the blue line. However, he keeps it in and gets by Andrade. Pressure being put on, and now he'll lose it this time to Manov, who will skate it out of his own zone, take the shot towards the net. Whew, that one had some fire behind it. However, Perno knocks it into the corner. 14 minutes and 6 seconds remaining here in the second period. It is now 2-0 Buffalo State over SUNY Potsdam. On the regroup, being pressured, that's Felix going in for it as he knocked Andrade into the boards. Dahlhard Wood, a slapper. That one hits the knee of Andrade and is poked free by the Bengals. The icing was waved off as the first one back to it was Signoretti. Shot towards the net, and Perno snaps that one in the trapper. No traffic in front of the net on that chance for the Bengals. Perno saw it all the way from the blue line, as the faceoff will be to the left of the Bears goalie. Klanow chips it up the boards. That went off the glass awkwardly, and that shot was going to go wide, and Nickel let it go. However, Perno was going to take no chances and grabbed it for another whistle. Almost kind of feels here as I see the Bears shuffle out onto the ice. They don't really have a whole lot of energy, it seems like. Obviously, they're skating fast, but they just don't look like they have that competitive spark right now, as they're down by 2 goals. Cannell knocks his man down to the ground. That was Messing. Nickel picks up the free puck and scooped it out to center ice. Now he'll have to backhand this one again into the face-off circle. Poked away, nicely done there by the defense. That was Will Walsh of the Bears. Speaking of which, Walsh will get this one forward. Cannell gets hit from behind. Here's a chance out in front of the net as Malmeister has control of it. He'll put it back for Walsh. That one almost went over the blue line. That goes off a skate in front of the net, and the whistle is blown now by the official. Not necessarily sure what it was about by the linesman Munson. However, he was just screaming to the Bengals bench, no change. So the Bears able to get fresh legs out here, and Buffalo State is pinned in their own zone to the right of the post of Ben Dardis, much to the chagrin of Buffalo State. That one goes off a skate. Picked up here. Shot towards the net by Mason Hohen is kicked away again by Dardis. So a picture-perfect game here for the freshman netminder of Buffalo State. Malmeister grabbing that one. Gets it up to Hohen. He'll get checked, but great balance, and he was able to kick the puck free. Malmeister was coming in towards the top of the crease. The puck bobbled and bounced over the stick. A great opportunity there on a leading pass by the Bears, but they could not capitalize. We'll try it again here. McCabe, 2-line pass. A little old school terminology there. He was able to chip it into the offensive zone. However, that one was quickly picked up by the Bengals, thrown down the ice, and they will call it an icing this time as Campbell was about to lay the body on forward Alejandro De Leon. O'Brien, Kilmurray, and McCabe will be out here. McCabe right behind Kilmurray at the top of the face-off dot. Salas at the blue line here on the left side. And on the right, it will be Dobbs. Murray wins that one back. However, his defense was on the half wall. He has to get back quickly to try to get this one out of the defensive zone. And they do, successfully. Kilmurray takes this one away at the blue line of the Bears. Poked away to center ice. Back in his own zone here with the breakout pass. That one went off the stick of Ushakov. And McCabe brings it back the other way. McCabe is going to go down. I don't know actually if he grabbed the stick to make it look like he got tripped up. That was a little bit of a magic trick by McCabe. However, the Bears will go back here to the power play. Officially, that is a holding call against the Bengals, as we're almost halfway through the second period of play, and the Bears are still down 2-0. Again, the penalty will come against sophomore defenseman Ethan Perreault. So far, the Bears 0 for 2 so far in this contest on the man advantage. Krasnoyarov trying to get back up to his feet. Hall comes in for support. They got it up to Campbell at the blue line. His pass a little too far from Malmeister. However, he got some help there from Krasnoyarov. He'll look back up to the blue line. Campbell, tape to tape across. That goes to Mason Hohen. He'll drop pass it. Skating up to the top is Malmeister with some speed. Shot goes off the back of Hall. And Hohen picks up the rebound. Here's a one-timer in the face-off circle, and that one goes right into the breadbasket of Dardis. Letting that one go was Krasnoyarov, and he really got all of that one. He went down to one knee. He looked like he was doing a Datsuk move. Still a $1:23 here on the power play for the Bears. As again, it will be Hohen on the face-off. He won that one. However, bringing it back the other way is Andrade. He'll skate away and just try to get back to his position. Malmeister for the Bears flips this one down into the Zamboni corner. Back out in front of the net. No, that one is knocked away and cleared again down the ice by Buffalo State. Perreault will leave this one for Campbell behind the net. As he goes over to the left wing side. Perreault over the blue line. Thought that was an offside. The official thought different though as he's sitting in front of the Bears bench. Almost got bulldozed over by the two players. Another clear here, that time by Andrade, as he's looking to try to get off for his change. Perreault has to swing away from a pressure being put on in the defensive zone. Again, the Bengals are down a man with 15 seconds remaining. Watson chips this one in, going after it is Clanow. Perreault tries to come in, he grabs it, and he got it to Watson. Watson looks down low behind the net as the power play is about to expire. They try to put it out in front of the net. It's in the slot and it's loose. That one's chipped away. It's a 2-on-1 back the other way. Kirikov now here. Pass over to Miri. Shot. What a save by Perreault as he slides over left to right. And that is exactly the shot in the arm that SUNY Potsdam needed here in this second period, because they have definitely looked sluggish. And maybe that will be that spark I was talking about that energizes them going forward. Here's another shot. That one is knocked away. I don't know if it got fully to Perreault or if it hit the body of O'Brien in front of the net. Otis puts one towards the net. That one goes off a stick. And again, it's deflected, but kept in here at the blue line. Here's another shot towards the net that misses wide right. Salas looking for the outlet pass, and he does find his man. That was O'Brien. He could not control it, and he'll lose it here to Andrei Amanov. Skating out of his own zone. Manov will try to take the shot. No, he loses control of it. Sagnaretti trying to get it towards the front of the net. However, it went over to the half wall. Malmeister picks this one up. Whistle is blown. And now it's going to come back down here into the SUNY Potsdam zone. A lot of weird whistles here by the officials so far in this game. There's been a couple of, wait, what happened? I don't know if they lost sight of the puck or if they just decided to call a delayed offsides. I didn't see the official put the arm up, and meanwhile, Malmeister was going back the other way. Here's a shot, as that one was ripped with a wrist shot at the top of the circle by Marquez. Another one that goes off a body of Hohen, and he's kind of bending over, wincing in pain. Now he has control of the puck. He's going to try to quickly get off here, I would assume, as Malmeister slaps it into the offensive zone. No, Hohen's going to stay in here. Half wall, takes the shot as the net was wide open. Dardis gets back in the nick of time. Malmeister floats this one across the crease. It comes back up to the blue line. Across. Hohen shoots. And another save by Ben Dardis. Wow. Talk about Perno sliding over for that 2-on-1 save. A spectacular one there by Dardis as he slid over left to right. Keeping this a 2-goal game with 7 minutes and 26 seconds remaining in our middle frame. Hall got knocked down, and now he's back up and has the vulcanized rubber. Trying to get it down for Perron, who is cycling. Went by him, but it's kept in here. Dahlhard Wood with a wrist shot. That one is blocked by Messing. Dahlhard Wood pinching, unsuccessful, and here comes Ushakov again with Messing. Wrist shot, and that one again straight into the stomach of a waiting Lenny Perno. Just like Dardis will, not be fooled here by some of these Potsdam Bears opportunities. Neither will Lenny Perno here after that second goal that, I don't know, again got deflected through traffic or was just a straight flush shot from the blue line. Puck there off the face-off, went off the stick of Welsh. Still loose here as Dahlhard Wood is trying to get away from being tangled up on the half wall with Marquez. His shot will miss the net. Over on the other side, first one to it were the Bears. And now going back to the right wing side, that was Hohen chipping it forward. Or O'Brien, rather, as Klanow makes a little contact afterwards, and then he gets a late push by number 27, freshman defenseman Foster Nickel of the Bengals. Nothing called there. Nickel at 6'1", 200 pounds even, from Brentwood, Tennessee. Formerly played for the Shreveport Mudbugs in the NAHL. Definitely a big boy on the back line there for the Bengals. Here's a chance as that one barely makes it towards the crease. It'll trickle wide. Hohen battling for it. Coming in to help him out. There's Gubbins. Saved at the blue line briefly. Dobbs tried to take the shot, but that's going to go back down the ice here left to right. Perno sliding it along as it's kept in here by the Bengals. Murray has that one flip over his shoulder. Dobbs comes down with it and got it across. McCabe through center, puts it in. Couple bodies flying in there. McCabe and Gubbins trying to take that away on the pressure. However, that one is going to be passed up to Murray. At his own blue line, he will pass this one in, go off for the change. Here's a chance as Chris Noyarov was already up here at the Buffalo State blue line. Malmeister was also there. And now they're trying to do a 2-on-1 sandwich here with Andrade. And Andrade wins that bout as he got it to Messing. On the left wing, backhander towards the net. Messing gets a deflection, however, that misses the goal mouth. Watson to Malmeister. A nice nifty deke to get by McHale as he put it through the legs. Then he got knocked down on the play by Ushakov. Less than 5 minutes remaining here in the second period as the Bengals now trying to look for the third goal tonight. And a nice kick save by Perino comes back to him off the stick of Krasnoyarov. He was checked from behind by Messing. And he will just pounce on that one for the face-off. As we mentioned, this is the first game of our doubleheader this weekend, as tomorrow the Bears are back in action here at the Maxey Hall Arena in another SUNYAC Conference game, as they will have a challenge against the Fredonia State Blue Devils, who are, as we mentioned, last in the SUNYAC Conference. That one deflects, rebound! What a stop by Perno! Desperation! He punches it aside! Wow! SUNY Potsdam really getting help here by Perno. This could be 3, 4, even 5-0 here in this game. However, Lenny has bailed out SUNY Potsdam on multiple occasions here in the first 40 minutes of play. Andrade, he'll get checked as he tried to pass the puck along into the center lane. And the Bears got that back into the Bengals defensive zone. However, this is going to be quickly whipped back in by Buffalo. First one to get it, though, is going to be Will Walsh for the Bears. His pass, the intended target, connected with Dalhart Wood. Down the ice, that one is deflected by Klanow. Back pass, too far for Felix, and it'll be taken back here by the Bengals. Backhanded back in, it's a delayed offsides. Kirikov tags up. Not a whole lot of time remaining here in the second period, as SUNY Potsdam would love to at least get one goal on the board. Hohen is going to glide in here, and Dardis makes a play as he had to throw this one away. Andrade. Bodied, loses control of the puck. Hohen will flip this one in on net, and Dardis will just cover it up on the right side of the netting. So as I was mentioning, Fredonia State Blue Devils will be the next opponent here for the men's hockey team tomorrow afternoon, as that game is a 4 p.m. start here. I do believe have to double check that here real quick on my sheet, as the faceoff is won here by Campbell. He threw it down low for Malmeister. Nobody there on his pass, the secondary, and that one is flipped by Rocco Siri. Campbell has to try to come back for it. He did knock his man off the puck. Pass along here, delayed offsides. Malmeister doing a split to make sure he got at least a foot back on the blue line. Awesome play. And now Malmeister has control of it here for the Bears. Pass to a wide open Campbell through traffic. And again, another good stop in the crease by Ben Dardis. So yes, that game tomorrow has a 4 p.m. face-off here at Maxey Hall Arena. You can listen to it on Mix 96.1 FM. You can watch the live stream on PotsdamBears.com, or you can actually come down here in person and watch it at SUNY Potsdam. I will have the call once again here, flying solo this weekend. Oh, that one goes off the post. It grazed off a shot by Krasnoyarov. Kel Murray was able to grab the loose puck. Krasnoyarov battling down low in the corner. As they'll try to take another shot. That one deflects. They score! It went off the body of a defenseman in front. It will go to Krasnoyarov. And the Bears cut it into the lead 2-1. Well, it's like the coaches like to tell you, throw it towards the net and good things will happen. On that one, it went off the body of Nickel in front of the net as he was tied up with another Bears player, and Dardis was sliding into the middle. Just like that, SUNY Potsdam has some life. They're down now 2-1 with 1 minute and 50 seconds remaining in the second period. Hall. Campbell. Across, it's Siri. That shot, Hall almost deflected it back into the net and tied this one up. Perron to Hall. Here's a shot as Cannell could not deflect it off the blade towards the net. But here's a chance here. Sagnaretti comes over the blue line. Spinorama to keep his footing and also keep the play on sides. Now it looks like the Bears are starting to show some aggressiveness as it was much needed here. Hall will get this one back into the offensive zone, and he will go off for a line change. Sagnaretti takes that one out of the air. However, it will be ruled a high sticking on Buffalo. As we mentioned, it's already still a tight race here in the SUNYAC Conference, as really 2 points is standing between many of these teams in terms of home ice advantage position. The last few positions before the cutoff in the seeding and the 2 slots that are out of the playoffs. It's going to really be interesting to see how everything shakes out here going into February in the final few games of the season. As Hohen will whip this one back down low. Out in front of the net, nobody there, as trying to come in was Watson. He'll have to tag up here on the delayed offsides. 30 seconds remaining here as taking a shot towards the net that time was Ushakov. Perno saw it all the way and makes the glove save. Both teams with a much-needed line change here. As we mentioned in the second period, it's typically the long change here for both clubs, as it looks like it's going to be Signoretti facing off against Hohen. Official backing up Peyton Felix and Campbell before dropping the puck. Bears will win that one, but the Bengals are going to throw it back towards the net as it goes wide. Manov at the blue line. His wrist shot is going to be blocked by Klanow. Good sacrifice of the body. That one took an awkward bounce. I believe it hit a player in the Buffalo State bench. So the faceoff will come back into the Bears zone. 10 seconds exactly remaining here on the scoreboard. And Signoretti this time will duel against Ben Presley. Or is that Perron? Perron, excuse me. And he'll win that one. Back. Across ice. Here's a slap shot. That is kicked aside. McHale let it go. That goes into the corner. Campbell holds it up on the boards. And that will conclude the second period of play here at the Maxey Hall Arena. After 2 periods of play in this men's hockey SUNYAC contest, it is now the Buffalo State Bengals 2 and the SUNY Potsdam Bears 1. For most of that second period, it was back and forth, but it was mostly all Buffalo State as they were showing more speed, aggression, and just overall better play over SUNY Potsdam, but after that deflection late in the second period that got the Bears finally on the board for the first time at home in 2026, they started to swing the pendulum back in their favor. And they hope that they can come out of the locker room in the third period here, down by 1, and tie this game up, maybe even take the lead in the third period. We'll be back in 10 minutes' time to give you your second period statistics, an updated out-of-town scoreboard, and once again give you the weekend festivities, as we will be back here in a few minutes on PotsdamBears.com and Mix 96.1 FM. Live stream on PotsdamBears.com with Todd Truax engineering this broadcast. I'm Taylor Salisbury, and after 2 periods of play here in men's hockey at Maxcy Hall in Potsdam, New York, it is now the Buffalo State Bengals 2 and the SUNY Potsdam Bears 1. As we look at the official box score of the second period, at 2 minutes and 3 seconds, very early there, the Bengals came out and scored on the power play. As through traffic, the shot of Foster Nickel hit the back of the net. That's his first of the season. The assists would come to Jake Meary and Andre Manov. That would make it 2-0, and we wouldn't have any other score until 17 minutes and 58 seconds into that second period. As SUNY Potsdam scores, the goal goes to Platon Krasnoyarov, his third of the season, assisted by Finnegan Kilmurray. And as we look at the shots by period, in that second period, the Bengals edged out the Bears 14-7. Total, they have 20 over SUNY Potsdam's 13. On the power play, of course, 0 for 1 are the Bears, 0 for 3 now are the Bears on the power play. Bengals are 1 for 1. For Ben Dardis of the Buffalo State squad, he had another 6 saves in that second period. He now is 12 for 13, letting in 1 goal. And Lenny Pierno, after 40 minutes of play, he had 13 stops in the second period. Now a total of 18 total, and he has 2 goals against. As now flipping over here in the face-off department, a little bit closer in that one, the Bengals only nipped the Bears 15-13 in the second period. As it looks like Sutton Murray is still the leader for the Bears, but not by much, only 5%. He has 10-5 in the face-off dot. Mason Hohen is no longer the leader here. It's a technicality. Finnegan Kilmurray is 2-1 with a 66.7 average. Mason Hohen 12 for 8, a 60% average in the face-off circle. And that is where we are going into the final period of play here in Potsdam, New York. As we will now look at the updated out-of-town scoreboard. The women's basketball team, as we mentioned in that first intermission, lost this afternoon to Oswego State 69-45. The men's team is trailing 30-14 with 6 minutes remaining in the first half. And for SUNY Canton, the women's basketball team beats Plattsburgh State 78-69. The men's basketball team is down 34-30 at halftime. And the men's hockey team is now tied. They were up 2-1. They're tied 3 apiece at the end of 2 periods of play. The St. Lawrence University Saints men's hockey team is down 4-1 at the end of 2 periods of play. And the Clarkson Golden Knights men's hockey team has traveled to Brown, and right now they lead 2-0 with 4 minutes and 40 seconds remaining in the second period of play. As we also look now at the other SUNYAC hockey games going on right now, the number 1 team, Hobart College, is taking on the number 2 seeded SUNYAC team, Cortland, and right now, after 40 minutes of play, it is 4-2. Hobart looking to remain undefeated and go 13-0. Morrisville is trailing Oswego State 4-0. 5 minutes and 24 seconds remaining in the second period. And as for women's SUNYAC hockey, they all had fortune smiling upon them this afternoon as Nazareth beats William Smith to remain undefeated 13-0. They won 3-2. Morrisville beats St. John Fisher 3-1 the final. Cortland edged out Manhattanville 3-1, and Buffalo State defeated Hilbert College 6-0. And we have started the third period of play here And both of these teams are coming out swinging already. You can just feel it in the air. The electricity is palpable as Siri passes it to Campbell. Wrist shot towards the net. That's easily waffle boarded away by Dardis. Both teams trying to catch up to the loose puck. Malmeister trying to hit Hohen out in front of the net. That is deflected at the last second. Siri, however, comes back. Across ice. One-timer! Oh, I thought it was a goal. They say Dardis saved it, but did he put the glove behind the line? Ooh, that is awfully close. But according to the officials, he did keep it out of the net, and it will remain 2-1, but a great strike there by the Bears, as we haven't even hit 1 minute out of the gate here in the third period. Perron ties up his man off the face-off. However, it was flipped off the glass, kept in by Dobbs in front of the Bengals bench. Perron will swing this one back to Hall. He's pressured from behind by Nickel, and he ends up getting the puck anyway back as he went down to one knee off the hit. He still has it. Comes out into the slot. Backhander goes off a skate in front. Salas will knock this one back down into the corner. Behind the net, Perron gets this one off of the stick of Cannell. He'll try to swing out. Can't do it, so he puts it back up to Dobbs. And then at the top of the circle, he'll take off. Just a shot as he's not even looking at the net and just barely missing the post. Perron gets knocked down on the play, as that looks like Marquez lost his glove as he knocked down Perron. Both teams changing up here as Dobbs slows it down behind the net. Felix now, as quick as the flash, gets by the defense, comes in, could not, takes the shot at the last second. He felt a stick come up on him, as that was Austin McHale. McHale battling again for this one. Off the half wall. Thrown down into the corner once more here to the left of the Bengals net by Delhurt Wood. Felix has that one poked off his blade. Krasnoyarov comes up with a tough angle shot, misses the crease. Delhurt Wood, though, keeping the pressure on the Bengals here as Kel Murray hopped off the bench, came down and got a stick in almost his shoulder and neck area for his troubles. Finally, Buffalo is able to get it out of their own zone as Kel Murray tries to bring it back the other way, and he's going to get dumped on that one by Penry. O'Brien to McCabe, and he'll leave that one for Kel Murray. What a deuce in the net! Kel Murray lets it fly! A wrist shot beats the glove of Dardis, and it's tied at 2! I don't know if Dardis didn't see it until the very last moment. He didn't move that much. And the Bears tying this game up early in the third period with 17:11 to go. And that got this crowd fired back up. Siri, he'll get smoked from behind as the puck is in between his legs and he actually just stepped on it. Watson has to go back for it. Up the boards on the right wing side. Malmeister across, left to right. Campbell was going to slap this one into the offensive zone. And now we got a hockey game on our hands here. As we mentioned, some crucial points and possible standing switches involved here in this game this evening in the Suniac. Down the ice, the puck will go. It's an icing against the Bengals. Coming out now for the Bears will be Perron, centering Hall and Cannell. Salas And Dobbs back at the blue line. Perron will curl away from his check, as well as Hall as they cycle it down low. Hall comes up to the top of the circle. That one deflects. They score! Deflected by Cannell! And the Bears take the lead 3-2! Just like that, SUNY Potsdam explodes for 2 quick goals in less than 4 minutes of the third period. They have taken the lead, and now they have got the Bengals on their heels as they try to just flip this one down into the offensive territory. Walsh throws it back below the goal mouth. It's going to be picked up here by Marquez, but he is not followed by Walsh. He decided to stick out in front of the net just in case Segnaretti tried to come poking his nose in on Perno's crease. On the right wing side, here's a shot that's knocked away by the paddle of Perno behind the net, flipped out again by the Bears, and that was Walsh. He'll change up here with Campbell. Campbell looks up and finds his pass. That's O'Brien. O'Brien losing that one. However, Campbell will help him out. Campbell still has control of this as he goes down in the corner, leaves it there, and a one-timer by O'Brien is off the pad of Dardis. At the blue line, Siri puts it down low, another deflection out in front, and Cannell almost connected again for a second goal. As now I think Ben Dardis is starting to feel a little rattled here after those 2 quick strikes by the Bears. Rocco Siri. He'll take this one to center ice, and then he trips over the red line. That can be a very, it can be a rough fall when you get tripped up there by the center ice. And now he'll go off to the bench, probably snickering while he does. Coming out of his own zone with the puck. That's Manoff. It's knocked away from him, and here comes Hohen back the other way, right to left. Hohen shot towards the net, and Dardis makes the glove save, and he will slow this one down for a face-off. 14 minutes and 10 seconds remaining here now in the third period. SUNY Potsdam has all of a sudden stormed back and taken a 3-2 lead with 2 quick goals in the first 4 minutes of this third period. Dobbs backpedaling. He'll try to knock it out over the blue line. However, it hits the official lobe. So that might be a good omen here for the Bengals as the shot gets towards the net. Perno, easy stop as he knocks it away. Hall will try to skate for this one. It was a foot race. However, Nickel had one more foot more than Hall, and he was able to get it out. Fanning on that one to put it down low was Miri. Dahlhard Wood to the middle. Cannell flips this one in through the crease, knocked away by Dardis. Plenty of time here, but pressure was being put on quickly by Perron. Walsh to Perron. He'll get checked. Krasnoyarov again with a tough angle shot, trying to put it through the crease as it hits the opposite side half wall. Peller, his shot goes off of Walsh's leg, picked up by Krasnoyarov. And he's going to take this one behind the net of Perno, kill a couple extra seconds here as we have just gone under the 13-minute mark. That one blows by Andrade and Felix. That's coming back here into the Bears zone on the icing. So right now, again, Buffalo State in that 5th place spot in the SUNYAC standings, 6 points total. If Potsdam wins this, they would then have 6 points total as well. And that should at least, if not put them underneath and hop Skidmore, they could hop Buffalo State and, well, not probably Plattsburgh. I don't think that they have defeated Plattsburgh just yet this season. However, they would have beaten Buffalo State here tonight, so that would be my reasoning here on logical thinking. We also mentioned that Canton, the number 9 in the standings, is taking on the number 10 Fredonia State in Canton, and that game is tied up at 3. We'll try to get an update as we go along here in regulation play. That one will travel all the way down the ice, and again, the Bengals are going to be called on the icing. And you can see a lot of their players huffing and puffing, especially Andrade, who was just about to try to step off the ice. The draw will be to the left of Dardis. One back to Siri. Siri shot, hit a body, they score! Another deflection, and we'll go to Rocco Siri, and the Bears lead 4-2. That went off the backside of a Buffalo State player, and Dardis, who is only 5'10", tried to stretch out as far as he could, but there was still about a solid foot between his skate blade and the post, and that one slowly rolled in over the goal line. 2-goal lead now for the Bears. Turnabout is fair play. They felt that pain for the first 2 periods. As Buffalo State now is behind the 8 ball, they throw this one in, and Perno just comes out of his crease to the side of the net to cover the puck up. Still plenty of time in this third period, though, for the Bengals to try to cut back into this lead that now sits at 2 goals for SUNY Potsdam. As honestly, after that second goal scored on Perno, he's been able to come up like a brick wall on most of the stops he's had to make. As we said in that second period, he had 13 stops. I think he's only maybe been challenged once or twice here so far in the third. Dobbs will backhand this one around the half boards. And that one is kept in barely, as the linesman Martin calls it, underneath us in the crow's nest. Malmeister backhands this one to the Bengals blue line. That's as far as it will get. Kirikov slides and slithers away from Malmeister. Shot towards the net. Perno already down, makes a great save. As we're looking in here on that game between Fredonia and SUNY Canton, it looks like Fredonia has taken a 4-3 lead with 7 minutes and 28 seconds remaining in the third period. So that is something to watch here, as that puck will go all the way down here off of SUNY Potsdam. So they will bring it back down here to the right of Perno. We're almost at the halfway mark here in the third period. 10 minutes and 58 seconds remaining from Maxey Hall Ice Arena here in Potsdam, New York. Loose puck, still loose. Felix brings it down as it was chipped up into the air, and now here's a chance as Signoretti has to go behind the net to control the rubber. He will skate up to the top of the circle, lose this one. Here's a breakaway this time for Max Klanow. Coming in uncontested, Deeks, backhander, nice save though by Dardis. And he earned that save because he stuck with it all the way. Klanow with some nifty hands was looking to fake him out and take the backhander to the left side. However, the puck stays out of the net, and it remains a 2-goal lead for the Bears. On this one, Felix is going to be tossed from the face-off circle. And now he's actually going to be brought back in here. The linesman is overruled by the official. McCabe had to go back over to the left wing side, and now he's going to come with a burst of speed getting through center ice, and that one is stopped in its tracks by Blango. Blango, backhander. Here's a chance. Perno makes a save in close as the backhander almost went off the bottom of his mask. Ryan Messing, the senior from Hamburg, New York, was there on the post, but he didn't have a whole lot of real estate to try to squeeze that in on the Bears goalie. Murray will skate in here and lose that face off to Hohen. Campbell bounces it off the board. Siri gets knocked down from behind. That goes off the skate of Mason Hohen back to the neutral zone. Perreault will risk this one in. Watson gave him a little bump for good measure. Here's a one-timer, and that is stopped again. Nicely done by Perreault off the pillows. Another shot going towards the net, went off of Hohen. He brings it down quickly as Malmeister will skate to the side. 3-on-2 coming back the other way. Hohen's shot goes off a body, hits the mesh, and will go out of play. And we finally hit the halfway mark of the third period. 9 minutes and 34 seconds remaining on the clock. Perreault, tie up, Cannell tries to swing this one towards the net and it misses. Coming down to pinch was Salas. And then he chipped that one back to the blue line. First one there was Signoretti. His pass goes too far for his winger. That was Andrade. However, Buffalo State has control of it in the offensive zone. Down low, now in front of the net. Oh, what a chance, but an even better save by Perreault. It bounced off the boards, came back through the crease. Lucas Signoretti, who got the first goal in this contest, got a piece of it, but Perreault makes a fantastic save at the top of the crease. And that one goes too far for the defense of the Bengals. That is almost an interference on Buffalo State. However, no call there. Going back for it is Dahlhard Wood. And his pass that went up to Clanow, too far for him as he was trying to at least bat a 500 average. However, he missed it multiple times. Miserov loses that one. Clanow takes a hip check, but he did get his pass forward for Felix. Over the blue line now. Shot nicely done by Krasnoyarov. It was knocked back into the corner by Dardis. Nobody went after it. This goes down the ice, and the icing is waved off as Blanco comes back in here for the Bengals to keep this one in the zone. That one a heat-seeking missile by Todorov, just missed the crossbar. Ushakov, on the tail end of his shift, will dump this one in. That's a delayed offsides. Marquez now will try to tip it. O'Brien has to throw it back in to the Zamboni corner for Will Walsh. Walsh got it to Kilmurray. Up to O'Brien. Kilmurray with some speed takes that one back. However, he did lose the puck as he was being taken towards the net. Watson across for Campbell. His shot, that goes wide as he ripped the wrist shot. Siri down low to O'Brien on the half wall. Looking across to the blue line. No, he fakes it. Got it to Siri in the slot. That one is backhanded away at the last second by Marquez. Great defense there by number 3 in orange and black. Malmeister will yee-haw this one down into that left corner. Gets it right back at center ice. That takes a funny bounce off the partition, and Malmeister will dump it back in. Going after it is Hohen, however, using the net to his advantage here is sophomore defenseman Andrei Manov. Manov from, I'm going to try to say it, Chelyabinsk, Russia. Played for the Blind River Beavers. I love that name, Blind River Beavers. That is very interesting. Salas now going to battle here with Signoretti, and the Bengals keep control. Wrist shot. That hits the body of Dobbs. Actually hit the pants shell. He brought it down. Got it to Hohen. He gets his pocket picked. However, I do believe that they're going to call a penalty here. Yes, it will be an interference behind the play at the blue line on Buffalo State. That will go to number 27, Foster Nickel. We mentioned him in that second period, the 6'1" freshman defenseman from Tennessee. That will give SUNY Potsdam a chance here to finally crack the goose egg in the power play department, as right now they are currently 0 for 3. And that could also make it a 3-goal game. Dahlherd Wood has to go back for this one as the puck went over the stick of Watson. Watson will take this one as he's backtracking. Leaves it for Dahlherd Wood. He's going to be pressured here nicely, I might add, by Miri. Dahlherd Wood finally gets a step on him and will flip this one along. Klanow going in for it. He'll meet up with Dufo at the front door as they will have a meeting of the minds. The puck comes back up to the blue line. Watson now has control of it. Watson looking up. Back here at the top of the circle, and he'll play pitch and catch with Klanow, getting it back. They will wait. Klanow will take it away. He tries to dish this one in off of the post. However, Dardis was not going to be fooled that time. Here's a chance. Dahlherd Wood with a one-timer. That is knocked away. Kick save by Dardis. Dahlherd Wood keeping his body along the boards. Watson now has his Klanow. Perrault coming off the bench. He'll take it in. Wrist shot is blasted wide. Watson across here. Dahlherd Wood will get this one back from Krasnoyarov, and that's deflected in front by Hall as Dahlherd Wood let the shot go. That goes off a skate, rebounds there, and Dardis flashing the leather, able to make a critical save there for the Bengals. 25 seconds remaining here on the power play for the Bears as they're trying to get the right personnel out there now. It looks like Krasnoyarov coming off and going to the bench, kind of bending his left elbow. Maybe he took a puck or a wonky hit there during the play. So Malmeister is at center. It looks like he's going to be ejected, as well as the Bengals' Sutton Murray. Hohen comes in against Ushakov. Ushakov won that one. However, Campbell keeps this one in. 15 seconds remaining. Campbell puts his body in front of the puck, and finally it's swiped down the ice by Buffalo State and Murray. That will finish the man advantage here for SUNY Potsdam. 0 for 4 in the game, however, still up 4-2 with not much time remaining. 4 minutes. And they're up by 2 goals, 4-2. That goes over a body. Hall tried to bring it down with a glove. No dice, and it's shot back in here by Buffalo. Campbell in the corner, loses that one. It's shot towards the net. I don't know if it was deflected in front. However, Perno was up to the task. O'Brien gets a flutter pass off the boards. He comes over the blue line and then goes right to left across the ice, backhands it low into the zone. He'll deflect this one away again off the half wall. Murray skating in off the bench at the blue line. Tried to pass it down low. However, it was stolen away there by the Bengals. Trying to come back here. Right to left is Kirikov. Walsh will stand and step in front of him to take the puck away. Murray couldn't connect with that pass. However, O'Brien got it from Walsh. O'Brien flips it in. Murray knocks his man down as he stole the puck away. O'Brien got it to Felix. Felix on his backhander will shoot it around the boards. It goes up in the air and actually comes back towards the crease. So Dardis had to put his glove back up around the crossbar area to make the save. 2 minutes and 39 seconds remaining here. Bears still up 4-2. You got to wonder when Buffalo State might pull a Dardis for an extra attacker or even take a timeout. Cannell's wrist shot was fired wide of that left side post, and he'll go after it. A lot of force there on his check. That one on the side of the crease. It's loose. The official letting it go for an extra few seconds. He finally made his way to the back of the netting and noticed that it had finally been covered up by Dardis and quite possibly his defender. And just as I say it, it has happened. Buffalo State takes a timeout. 2 minutes and 20 seconds remaining on the scoreboard. Buffalo 2, Potsdam 4. And we do have, it looks like, a final from that other game, as Fredonia State, who will be here tomorrow afternoon at 4 p.m. at Maxey Hall Arena, has defeated SUNY Canton 6-4, your final score. And that is actually Fredonia's first win of the season. They were 0-9-1 going into that game overall. 0-4-1 in the SUNYAC. They are now 1-9-1, and they are 1-4-1. I think that should hop them over Canton into the 9th spot, and Canton should be in 10th, if I'm not mistaken. Sometimes these point standings for college can be very hit or miss. But right now we are laser focused in here on Mix 96.1 FM and PotsdamBears.com on this last 2 minutes and 20 seconds as the Bears lead by 2. Nice check by Campbell to rub out his man coming down the ice with the puck. That was Andrade. His shot goes off of the trapper of Perno. Cannell gets tripped up by Todorov. The puck went down the ice. Icing was waved off as Cannell did get a piece of the puck. And now there is the extra attacker for the Bengals. Empty net as they try to score 2 here. Here's a rebound. That one went off a skate. It's loose in the slot. Still loose. Andrade coming up with it, but Siri makes a great defensive play there as he slapped it away. In the corner. It's off the back of McHale. That is knocked out to center ice. McHale has to go after it, as well as Signoretti. And he'll bring it back over the blue line. Here's a shot. Todorov cannot get it towards the net. It's deflected away. That goes off of the stick of Murray. Again, no icing called as it went off of the Bengals. Signoretti. Up to Kirikov. 1 minute remaining here in the third period, and it looks like the Bears are going to take a penalty It's going to be an interference called on Mal Meister, and this actually may be a blessing in disguise for Potsdam, because in all actuality, now they can just dump it down the ice and take as many shots on the open net as they want to. Originally, they couldn't do that because they were at 5-on-5. Well, 6-on-5 technically. Now it's 6-on-4. Bengals win the face-off. It's kept in here, barely, by Penry. Marquez trying to swing away from danger. That was Dahlherd Wood coming in. This one is slapped away all the way down the ice as it's on its side. Boy, oh boy, that one took a mean turn going all the way down the ice. 35 seconds remaining here. As trying to look out in front, that's taken away. Holland will throw it down the ice. Manov missed his pass. Going back for it is Marquez. He'll try to skate out of his own zone. Marquez got it across to the left side. That is Ushnikov. Thrown back in here by Nickel. Perno out of his net. He'll pass it along. And they're just going to kill the time here. 10 seconds remaining. That's flipped up into the air. Oh, it hit the post as from below the goal line. It was Kilmurray letting it go. But that's going to do it. The horn sounds. And the Bears come from behind to defeat the Buffalo State Bengals 4-2. I always like saying it, and to be honest, they were down by 2 goals. I will say it. It was another miracle in Maxie. A solid third period effort there by the Bears as they really came together as a cohesive unit. After they scored that first goal, the Bengals started to crumble and crumble fast. I mean, the foundation was not even cracked. It was just falling before our very eyes as SUNY Potsdam tied it up in the first 4 minutes of play, then were able to tack on another 2 goals throughout the third period and will win this first game of 2 here this weekend against the Buffalo State Bengals, and they will now get ready to take on the Fredonia State Blue Devils tomorrow afternoon. As we mentioned, Lenny Pirno came up really impressive there. After that second goal was scored on him early in the second period of play, he was able to come back and have himself a game to finish off. He had 13 stops in that second period, and we're just waiting here for the final stat sheet to reach us here to let you know how many more he had in that third period as well as overall in the contest. The Bears in this game are proving that sometimes when they bend, they will not break. And they did not there, even though they were trailing by 2 goals pretty much late in that second period of play. So with that, I mean, that should, in my mind, like I said, move Potsdam up to 5th place and move Buffalo State, thank you, Mike, down to 6. As now we will go over the post-game statistics in this game. As we mentioned in that first period of play, at 6 minutes and 29 seconds, it was the first goal scored by Lucas Signoretti, his 5th of the season for the Bengals, unassisted. And then we would not have another goal until the start of the second period. 2 minutes and 3 seconds in on the power play. Foster Nickel gets it through a screen for his first of the season, assisted by Jake Meary and Andre Manov. But then it would be all Bears on the box score. 17 minutes and 58 seconds into the second period, it is Platon Krasnoyarov who was able to pump in his third of the season, assisted by Finnegan Kilmurray. And then Finnegan would get himself a goal as well to start that third period, 2 minutes and 49 seconds in. His second of the season, assisted by Garrett McCabe and Will O'Brien. Then, literally a minute later, the Bears would score again and take the lead 3-2. Jeremy Cannell would get that one off a deflection, his third of the season, assisted by Hall and Matthew Perron. And finally, at 7 minutes and 57 seconds of the third period, Rocco Siri gets his second, assisted by Mason Hohen. Total shots, the Bengals only one more than the Bears, 28-27 total. In that third period, though, the Bears led it 14-8. On the power plays, the Bears in the game go 0 for 4, something they'll definitely want to try to regroup on before tomorrow. And the Bengals go 1 for 2. In the pipes, it was Dardis with 11 saves in that third period. He had a total of 23, 4 goals against. And then for Lenny Pierno, 26 saves total. He only had to stop 8 in that third period. Thought it was a little bit more. However, he comes out victorious for the Bears this evening. As we now look at the overall wins and losses for both teams for Potsdam, overall that will bring them to 6-7. And in the SUNYAC, they will now be at 50%. They are 3-3. For the Bengals, they will drop to 2-3-1 in the SUNYAC, and they are now 5-7-1 overall, and they have now lost 4 games in a row. Not good for the Bengals here to start off the second half of the semester in men's hockey. And that will do it for us this evening. As we mentioned here, tomorrow afternoon at 4 p.m., will be the second game of our doubleheader here at Maxey Hall, as the Potsdam Bears will take on the Fredonia State Blue Devils. And you can listen to that here on Mix 96.1 FM, watch it on PotsdamBears.com, or you can come down here and watch it live and in living color. Once again, a huge thank you to the wonderful staff and volunteers here at Maxey Hall Arena, as always, as well as the athletic director, Dan Bronson. And a huge thank you to all of the wonderful listeners and viewers across the sound waves. None of this is possible without your support. Once again, your final in men's college hockey, it was the SUNY Potsdam Bears 4 and the Buffalo State Bengals 2. One more time for Todd Truax engineering this broadcast. I'm Taylor Salisbury, wishing you a great and safe Friday evening from all of us here at PotsdamBears.com and Mix 96.1 FM, a Stevens Communications station.